Running Back Nation, what is good? It is DJ Eastwood, Running Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys. Never, ever, ever have I ever had an intro. Give me 1 million likes on this video. Listen, let's do this today, all right? So it comes out that the Philadelphia 76ers, sources say, are willing to offer Jimmy Butler a max contract extension if he would, in fact, be traded by the Miami Heat. The rumor is that he wants a max contract extension, which would kick in after the 25-26 season, which would basically you be trading for 4 years of Jimmy Butler at about 50-some million. We'll get into that. But this is the first time that it's come out as a report that the Sixers would be willing to offer him a max contract extension. We've been saying, like, if Jimmy Butler's available, Daryl Morey might do it. Daryl Morey probably would offer it. And then there's a whole bunch of debate on, him at his age. Is he worth that or not at this point? Things like that. But this is the first time that we've heard a report that the Philadelphia 76ers definitely would offer Jimmy Butler a max contract extension if he were to be traded away from the Miami Heat this season. Let's just look at it. Here's Keith Pompey. From NBA Central on Twitter. They're prepared to offer Jimmy Butler a full max extension if they could land him in a trade. And then we're going to do we're going to do this. We're going to read Keith's article, and then we're going to do a little bit of Would You Rather, okay? So stay tuned. And again, hit the like button, all right? Now, here's Keith's article. Sixers are prepared to give Jimmy Butler a max contract extension if the Heat star is traded. He has a $48.8 million guarantee for next season and a $52.2 million player option for the 25-26 season. He wants a 2-year max extension for $113 million. It's no secret that the 76ers are closely monitoring Jimmy Butler's contract situation with the Miami Heat. The Sixers view him as a fallback option if they are unable to sign Paul George in free agency. So keep that in mind. It's rumored that the Sixers' number one target still is Paul George, and this Jimmy Butler situation is a fallback option. All right. According to sources, the Sixers are prepared to give Jimmy Butler a max salary extension. Things align, and he forces a trade out of Miami. Butler, who turns 35 on September 14th, has $48.8 million guaranteed for next season and a player option for $52.2 million in 25-26. The former Sixer wants a 2-year max extension for $113 million. There have been reports that Miami may look to trade the small forward rather than give him an extension. Heat President Pat Riley told reporters on May 6th that Miami is not trading the 6-time All-Star. But he also said this: that's a big decision on our part to commit those kinds of resources unless you have somebody who's going to be there and available every single night. Riley said to the media, that's the truth. Pat Riley was also annoyed that Jimmy Butler was talking about, he would beat this team and that team and this team and that team. And Riley was like, you can't say that when, you lost, you're not playing. So it's, Pat Riley seems a little bit fed up with Jimmy Butler. And then these comments come out, and I could see how Jimmy Butler would be offended by this, because, am I not available for every single regular season game? Sure. Do I show up in the playoffs? Yes. Did I take a team to the NBA Finals in 2020 and 2023? Yes. Did I become the first team to reach the win a playoff series out of the play-in tournament? Yes. Am I the first player? Was I the leader on the first team ever to reach the NBA Finals out of the play-in tournament? Yes. So I could see how that could be a little bit offensive to Jimmy Butler. The truth is that Butler's play has been the main reason for the Heat's recent success. Facts, Keith. Miami's 268 victories over his 5 seasons are a 5th highest total in NBA over that span. He also led the Heat to the NBA Finals in 2020 and 2023. Jimmy said, I feel at home, man. I really care about the city. I really care about the people in the city. Miami has embraced me. They wanted me to bring them something they haven't done since LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh, and I want to do that. As soon as I get this knee back right, I'm right back on the ass, and everybody knows it. The interesting thing is, I think, is obviously that, Pat Riley doesn't sound like they want to sign Jimmy Butler to that extension. And then the comments that he made could be offensive to Jimmy. And if Jimmy decides, hey, look, y'all ain't give me shit, bro. Y'all ain't give me anything. I took this team in 2023 to the finals with 5 undrafted players, bro. I took Gabe Vincent and Max Strus to the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? Duncan Robinson and a couple others. So Jimmy Butler could look at it like, I got a couple years left at a high level. Miami didn't give me nothing. You know, I drug this team to the finals. Bam's a good player, but is he a superstar? You know, Jimmy could look at it like, if I go back to Philly, they give me the contract that I want, and I get to play with 2 stars. And if you're looking at it from a Sixers fan perspective, the fact that Jimmy took that Miami team to the NBA Finals, what could he bring to the Sixers, you know, right now? You know what I mean? So that's something that, that's something to think about. And I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think of a possible Jimmy Butler fit on the Sixers. But, you know, give me your opinion on that. You know, what would you do? And then let's just play Would You Rather. Shout out to Philly Sixers Galaxy, because this is becoming pretty clear that this is the Sixers' main 2 targets this offseason. Paul George, Jimmy Butler. We talked about Brandon Ingram being one of their targets also if they can't, you know, land these guys. But who would you rather have? You know, again, we can do, I wouldn't sign these guys to a max. That's a terrible move. We can type that in the comments all we want all day long. The fact is, Daryl Morey's, if one of these is possible, Daryl Morey's doing it. You know, so whether you want that to happen or not, or you think it's right or not, doesn't really matter. These are the things that are going to happen if they're available. The question now becomes, you know, and you can type Lauri Markkanen in the comments. You can say all they need to do is this, this, that. These are the 2 things that they're trying to do. So I'm asking you, which would you rather? A Paul George 4-year, $212 million contract, or a Jimmy Butler trade for, you know, 2 years left on his deal and then a 2-year extension at $113 million, which is, kind of the same thing, a 4-year max contract for either one of these players. This is tough for me, man, because first of all, I like Paul George as a third option scorer, flat out scorer, than Jimmy Butler. I like Paul George as a third option perimeter scorer better than Jimmy Butler. I like Paul George as like a theoretical high level wing that the Sixers have been missing for a long, long time. And even on the downside of his career, he's still at 25 point per game. You know, maybe he didn't average 25 last season, but he's still a really, really good third option at the wing position, Paul George is. And I like the idea of that fit as a flat out play style, right? But I love the idea of Jimmy Butler being added to this roster because of his flat out dog mentality and his refusal to quit, the chip that he constantly carries on his shoulder from, you know, being a late draft pick to becoming, you can argue whether or not he's a superstar or not, but to becoming a really, really large part of this current NBA era. And he just always plays with a chip on his shoulder. And those are the kind of guys I think the Sixers have always lacked. You know, somebody like Paul George, man, he seems like he's paid in the shade, man. That's why I called him the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris. He just seems like, I'm going to go out there and try. And he said that in his post-game press conference, his end-of-season press conference. I'm going to go out there and try, you know. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, you know. He just didn't seem like he cared that much. Jimmy Butler seems like he always wants to win more than anything else. And that's what the Sixers lack, that mentality. And that on-the-court leader. And remember Jimmy Butler getting in Joel Embiid's ear when he was playing here in Philly, yelling at him to shoot the ball, and just, you know, as a straight up, what would make the team better? Jimmy Butler. Not just his mentality, his playoff rising ability, right? And I say Jimmy Butler's overrated as a superstar because I don't think he's good enough to be a number one scoring option on a team like the Miami Heat have wanted him to be, or the Chicago Bulls wanted him to be, or the Minnesota Timberwolves, whatever. But I think he's a star-level glue guy, a really, really good plug-and-play, just do everything, do all the nitty-gritty, and really elevate the team around him type of guy. And I just think that's what the Sixers have been missing for a long time. And yeah, his playoff rising, because what do the Sixers do? The Sixers are great in the regular season every year. Nobody gives a shit anymore. You need to rise in the playoffs. They collapse in the playoffs. So from a straight, what would give the Sixers a better chance to get out of the second round for the first time since 2001? It's Jimmy Butler. I think that should be their number one. If the Heat say, listen, we're open to trading Jimmy Butler, the Sixers should be trying to do that, number one. And Paul George should be the fallback plan. The thing that is hard about it, is that you have to trade for him. With Paul George, you're just paying money. You're just paying straight up money out of your cap space to sign him. And then you still have all of your assets, 5 tradable first-round picks, and money left over in the cap to go after, Mikal Bridges if he's available, for example, or whoever else, Alex Caruso, Brandon Ingram, etc. To get Jimmy Butler, you have to give up assets, and that's tough because you're then doing both. You're then giving up assets and trading for a large chunk of your salary cap. So you're kind of using both of those weapons on one guy. And I know Paul George is not the leader that Jimmy Butler is. I know Paul George is not the guy that's going to, will a team to victory in the playoffs. He's done it before. You guys keep getting in the comments. Oh, he did it this year, whatever. He's not the playoff warrior that Jimmy Butler is. But you could get Paul George just by signing him and fill out the rest of the roster a lot better, I think, than you could if you trade assets for Jimmy Butler and give him the 2-year max contract extension. That's my thoughts on it. Give me your thoughts on it. I guess I didn't really give you my answer. Dude. It's really difficult. I don't want the Sixers to trade multiple first-round draft picks for Jimmy Butler to give him a max contract extension also. And that 2028 unprotected Clippers pick is insanely valuable, and it can be used, to build around Tyrese Maxey moving forward. If you keep that pick and Joel Embiid takes a backseat or is retired by 2027, and you have 27-year-old Tyrese Maxey in his prime, and you also have the first pick in the draft if the Clippers collapse that far after this Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden era, I think that's just insanely valuable, and I would hate to see them trade that draft pick for 35-year-old Jimmy Butler. But if you want to give your team the best chance to win right now, you do it if it's available. I could the Jimmy Butler thing, just me from what I'm seeing, I could see this really being a realistic thing. Like, anytime a rumor comes out that a player might get traded, everybody's always like, oh, he's not going to get traded. He's not going to get traded. He could very well get traded. He could very well be at a crossroads with the Miami Heat. They could very well be at a crossroads and say, we're not going anywhere next year, with Jimmy being a year older and still lacking just depth and overall star talent on the team. It would probably be smart for the Miami Heat to trade Jimmy Butler right now. So I could see it happening. I would like it. It would hurt me for the Sixers to give up the assets it's going to take and the money it's going to take to get him. But at the end of the day, Daryl Morey's not here for the long haul. He's not here to try to help the team be good in 10 years. He's here to try to deliver a championship to the city of Philly as soon as possible and before the Joel Embiid era ends. And I think Jimmy Butler is the better option there as far as what gives you the best chance to win. That's my answer. You give me your answer in the comments, man. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all are the best. Hit the like button. I'll see you very soon.